Clearly doesn't have a can on it from the factory. So decoding this comes back to like 39. I don't think it's 40 weight. Can we run it that way? Yeah. Are we gonna run it that way? Absolutely not. I don't know how to offset drill it, so I'm just gonna drill 2 holes. Also, I think I told you I rebent the fuel line. YouTube channel. My name's Wayne, and well, today we're working on junk, but it's extremely hard to find junk.
I am never gonna financially recover from this.
What we've got today is this charming little 1-cylinder 71 Series Detroit. They did these for about 2 years. 38, 39, some say into 40, it's really hard to tell. They did less than 1,000 of these, and that was it. This little unit's been around the block, it's been changed around. We're gonna go through it step by step today, and we're gonna see if we can get it running. I bought it sight unseen, I saw like 3 pictures of it. Guy said that it ran when it last ran. Sounds like every Craigslist ad I've ever seen. But anyway, we're gonna see what we can do. I know it needs some things, so let's take you through it. So, this thing's been freaking killing me, boys. I got this and I have resisted the urge to mess with it for like 3 weeks now. I got it just before the truck show, so those of you that came to the truck show got to see it on the trailer. But I literally haven't touched it. I haven't tried to start it. I did bar it over, so I did do that. But I've resisted the urge to play with it otherwise. It is as it came to me on the shipping crate. You can see all the tags and stuff here. Clearly it's not a Hercules. This is the wrong radiator and the wrong grill surround. It's also the wrong intake. It is the wrong exhaust. Clearly doesn't have a can on it from the factory. Let's just keep rainwater out during shipping. Has the incorrect fuel pump. Has the incorrect fuel filters, which you saw on the other side. The oil filter's not correct. The gauge panel should be on the other side of the engine. Should be over here where the fuel filters are mounted, but that's okay. Also, this isn't right. I'm not sure. That might actually be the correct starter. I don't know the answer to that, but it is wearing a correct fan hub and oil pump. So this is your oil pump here on 171. External, completely different than what we're used to. You can see, let's see if we can get you a shot of the serial number.
That's it, boy. Get in there nice and deep like.
Oh, yeah. So decoding this comes back to like 39, I want to say. It makes this one a little bit different. It was originally a generator. Somehow it has ended up with a PTO on it, which is good for what I think we're going to do with it. I think you guys will get a kick out of our plan. See what you think, put it in the comments, what we should do with this thing, but I have my own ideas. Now, all these 171s came with 2 brass tags, one showing the serial number over there. This one also has, it'll have a different serial number on it, A130. but they should match up. And this one tells you your horsepower. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Oh yeah, 15 horsepower, 1200 RPM. And what's a little odd about this one is it was sold by the General Motors Sales Corporation Diesel Engine Division, which was kind of like in a transition period before GM kind of figured out what they wanted to be branded. So, super cool. How you can tell it was originally a generator, let me see if I can zoom in on this one again. There's a, oh shit, come on, you had it. There you go. There's a G after the 171 over there. And that stands for generator. It is really that simple. It's got the wrong gauges on it, but the correct panel. I bought the tachometer from eBay just the other day. It's, I believe, the incorrect tachometer, but the correct era. The correct one, I believe, the 0 would have been over here, and it would have spun this way. But nonetheless, it's still backwards tack. It's badass. It's close enough for who it's for. This ain't never gonna be, I mean, I would spend an absolute fortune chasing down the right parts for this thing. So I think what we're gonna do is just embrace what it is. Hopefully we'll get it running and, you know, kind of reevaluate from there. I have a harebrained idea to use this thing. I think you guys are gonna love it. It's kind of out of the box, but I think you'll dig it. In the side here, in this panel here, if we were to pull that cover off, you would get to see like lifters and stuff and the cam. And so if this engine, you could get them with a decompression. I believe this engine originally came with it because it has provisions for a crank start, hand crank start, and it's missing its decompression. The decompression would be built into this plate here, so you could pull the decompression, hand crank the engine, and then release the thing, you know, to get it to fire over. Ugh. A little bit of corrosion. I don't know if we're going to be able to see anything in there. Oh, yep, there you go. Got coolant in it. That's a plus. Oil is over here. Now these did not have, so these, before we check the oil, just let me just explain you a little bit here. These did not have a regular oil system like you have on modern day Detroits. They only have a bypass oil filter, so most of the oil that runs through the engine doesn't get filtered. But as it's running a very small amount, whatever can go through this tiny ass line, it actually comes out of the other side of the oil pump, comes through this bypass filter, and then gets fed back in to feed other stuff. So most of the oil isn't filtered. It's just like an old car from the 50s, whatever, you know, they just didn't have that shit back then. Got Earl in it, looks super clean. Let's see what it tastes like here. I do got a piece of gum in my mouth, so that's probably gonna friggin' ruin that. There's no water in it. But I don't think it's 40 weight. Tastes like maybe 1540 or something. That's wrong. We're gonna have to get that out of there. But there's no coolant in it, so that's a win. Let's take a look at the air filter here. It has an air filter. It isn't plugged. Somebody did paint it the absolute wrong color. It smells musty as hell. We're gonna hope that the color being wrong doesn't make it blow up immediately. Yeah, that is homemade as frig. Not to say it's bad, I mean it's better than no air filter. That's cool, it's like an old one though. I ain't mad at that. We'll just put that back in there for now. Gonna filter the air, so it's good enough for who it's for. One of the things that we do have to look at, and I did notice, and the guy did tell me about, is our fuel lines. We don't need those just yet where we're going. We want to get into here. And what we've got to look at here is our governor is, so this lever moves, but the detent does not. It's frozen. I've sprayed it. Hasn't really done any good, and I'm not 100% sure how this one works. These 171s are totally different than anything else that I've ever worked on. So let's dig into here and see what we get. We'll start there. I do just kind of want to get this open and see what I'm in for here. But first you don't succeed, buy her another beer. Oh man, that thing is in there. Ugh. Boys, I don't know about that. Give it a little tappy tap tap.
Give it a little tappy. Tap, tap, tap-a-roo.
Alright, got you now, friends. Sorry about that. Please don't judge me. Come on, baby. Dang it. Alright. We're gonna have to dig into the bag of tricks here a little bit more. I give her a spritz, fellas. Trick is trying to do this without getting into that spring. Let's see if I can get the spring off of there quick. We can go. Oh man, come on. Man, this thing is really upset about this. Wants to be left alone. Leave me in my slumber.
I just want to be left the hell alone.
There we go. There we go. Nice. Success. Feels kind of loose. Well, I'm going to double the gasket a little bit. All right. No signs of a slobbery mess, so that's cool. Smells like old stuff. All right, so what we've got is a great shot of the inner workings of the governor now. And it does have your regular fork onto it, which the governor is all free, seems like. I don't know what that screw would do. Oh, there goes that gasket now. I might better just... Something ain't right here. Alright, we gotta get... So, next move is gonna be get the valve cover off. Let's do that. Wow, that's heavy. Look at that gasket. Hold on, let's see. Friggin' cool, it's like recessed in there, boys. Friggin' cast iron valve cover. Badass. Oh yeah, that ain't right.
Oh, fudge.
Something. This shit is all homemade, whatever this is. That don't look right to me. Yeah, that's an injector finger that they welded the screw holes on and then tried to make onto a stand. That's some pretty haggard shit. It does have an N60 injector, which is totally not correct for this. But it is good it's an N injector at least. That's a good thing. So, let's see. I guess the first business is going to be to... Oh wow, who bent that fuel line? That's gotta be plugged. You see all that play? There's no way that is gonna run correctly. No way. I mean, I give you props. It was a valid attempt, but yikes. So, let's talk about a 171 for a second, fellas. You're not in any danger of a 171 running away from a stuck injector, because if this injector is stuck, it can't inject fuel. So that's how a Detroit runaway happens. In a multi-cylinder engine, one injector or multiple injectors will stick. If they're all stuck, the engine will not run. Because when the injector sticks, what it does... Show you. Perfect. So what it does when it sticks, that should move now. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. When the injector sticks, what happens is this plunger, if the injector is actually stuck, that plunger will stick down. And when the injector is stuck down, it can't fire fuel because it can't return to the top to refill the plunger and barrel to then inject fuel again. God, that is the sloppiest rat control I've ever seen. I can't believe anybody would run that engine like that. Look at that. That's like basically eliminating the governor from doing anything. See if you can see. I know my hand's kind of in the way there. Let me see if I can show you how much movement's in this before it moves the rack on the injector. Look at that. Come on, bro. The only real danger you have of a 171 running away is if something's wrong inside the governor itself. Like this. Because there's no way. I don't think this would run away in this condition. But what it would do is the governor's going to be a super delayed response. And it can overspeed. It's not just going to stay at an overspeed condition because the governor, I think, would eventually pull it back. But, yeah, this is like pretty far from what you want to have happen. Okay. My rack is free now. Nice and smooth there. Can we run it that way? Yeah. Are we gonna run it that way? Absolutely not. So what the gentleman I bought this from did send me was entire rack for a 271, which obviously isn't gonna work. He seemed to be under the impression that it only needed the pedestal, which he did send me. But looking at this, I'm not sure. We gotta get this thing off of here before we go any further. He also did send me a new control here for the end. I don't know why they booger welded that on there. It's just gonna be a nightmare, but let's just see what we get. Pull this thing off here. So one of the other things about this, the reason why this is so boogered up, you gotta remember, dude, they made less than 1,000 of these total. So parts for this engine are basically non-existent. That is your homemade rack control. You can see it's just an injector finger that he made fit, which is, you know, somewhat ingenious, but also not exactly helpful. So, looking at this, I don't know that we'll get away with it. Boy, I never anticipated being into a 171 quite like this, huh? So I'm thinking what we're gonna do here. I'm gonna unbolt the weight, and we're gonna cut this here at that finger. And then hopefully the one bearing should support it. Alright, well, we've got this cut. For better or worse, it's cut. There's no going back now, fellas. But I'm not super sure how this is all gonna turn out. I just don't know that this one little bearing is gonna have enough support for it. Oh, I guess I probably should have been paying attention. Idiot. Well, I'll put one bolt in it and see what it's like. I didn't even think that it would be a different bolt pattern down here. Let's crank it down as much as we can. I'm just not sure this is going to be all at the right. See, that's just as bad, and that's what I was afraid of. That ain't gonna work. Don't know till you know. I kind of knew, but. Alright, here, fellas. I've been brainstorming. Come up with something. I'll show you here what I'm thinking. So I did a little experimenting. Your 271 rack, the other end of it, had another bracket on it, but the end is just a slug that's pressed into this tube. So I pressed it out, and then I pressed it into the tube that we cut, the part of the tube that we cut. See that? So now I've got 2 points of leverage, and there's not a whole lot of room in here. Let me see if I can get you off of that stand and show you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is gonna go, well, you gotta put this on the right way, you walnut. So that's gotta go like that, right? But what I'm thinking, that'll set down in there like that. And then we'll just have another pedestal. Oh boy, that's real close to that injector. Problem is I cut the rack too damn short. Focus. Let's see. So if I do this, right, like I want to, that all lines up. Seems pretty good. However, the pedestal would be contacting the back side of that injector there. See that? We can't have that. So what we're gonna do, I think, is we need our pedestal to be out here further. So we're gonna cut this tube again, and we're gonna use this piece of it, which is kind of kicking the nuts because I just pressed that thing out of there and now I gotta try to press it back in. Whatever. Anyway, I'll cut this. I'm gonna measure from this injector over to the end of the tube here, and I don't know if you boys can tell, but I can tell. Let's see. There's a hole there with a pin through it. That's all it holds. That's just another slug that's pressed into there, and it's got a pin so it rotates. Then it doesn't spin inside. So I'm gonna knock that pin out, press that plug out of there, then we'll continue to butcher this thing up. But I think if I make this tube the same length, it's got that little extra nub on it on the other side, where I cut the other one too short, and that will get us, that'll buy us enough length to get us out from underneath that, or out from away from that injector. And then my thoughts are to, so it'll only bolt on here, but we'll have a plate welded underneath it that goes across to the other stand, and the other stand will be welded to the plate also. So it'll just be like one big piece that bolts in and out, or something like that. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see how we go when we get there. Just friggin' bear with me. We'll have something here in a minute. Oh, there we go. Got her. See it? Move just a touch. That's what we need. Now she's going. Okay. See? Just a pin. Gotcha, bitch. Alright. Goes like that. Done. Alright fellas, so we're kind of at a dilemma here. This hole, I don't know if you could tell, but it's offset drilled. So that means it's not drilled through the center of this thing. It's like offset drilled, so it can only go one way. And also I got to thinking about it. The orientation matters because of where, so this pins into a certain location, which puts the clevis that hooks to the governor in a certain location. So all this shit matters. And so the only way for me to duplicate that, well, I don't really know how to duplicate that. I've never done anything like this before in my life, as far as dealing with an offset hole and trying to make that work. So the only thing I come up with my small pea brain was, I put a piece of tape on here. You need at least 2 points of reference, right? You can't use this surface because it's cut and it's all boogered up. But so I use these. These will be punched in the same location. Our distance from here to here is the same because I made it that way. So I just took a piece of tape and I made a template. I cut this out and then used the punch to punch out the hole in the tape, and then applied the piece of tape to here. Obviously it all lines up. It's pretty simple as far as that goes. So then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And because I can't really, I don't know how to, I don't know how to offset drill it. So I'm just going to drill 2 holes. I'll drill one, you know, where my mark is on this side, and then I'll flip the thing over and drill the other hole, you know, wherever it is. So it'll be 2 straight holes, but it'll friggin' work, I think. Alright, fellas, well, let's see if you can see this here. I kind of moved it. My hole drilling deal was successful, so we're going to try to press this together. Worst case, we'll press it back apart and try again, but I think we've got her reasonably close. Oh, that's freaking tight. What the f? How did it do that? No way. Look at it. It crushed my friggin'. Look at the hole. It's crushed. How's that a real thing? Whatever, dude. I'm going in there. We'll just re-drill it. We'll just touch up the hole a little bit with a... I can't believe that just happened. Alright. I think this is going to work, so we're going to continue on. I'm going to jam this thing in here. Hopefully. I did go out to my parts hoard. So the way this is going to work, this will go on here like that. And we got this thing in there. And then, so it'll kind of stand there like that. And then I got another rocker support, or what do you call it? Rack support from the hoard. And then that should eliminates all the side-to-side wobble. So then what we've got to do is manufacture some kind of plate for this. Alright, fellas, here's what we come up with. I got this funny ass looking bracket here. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to use it to support the rack in 2 places. So how this works is this old deal here. It's going to slide down under the injector finger like so. And that will bolt in where the normal rack would bolt, or the normal rack support. Then we got our little rack. My drilling worked out mint, so I put the pin in it. That's good there. And I put the plug in the other side. So now it can be suspended, supported from both sides. So let's show you something here. I'm gonna get these 2 bolts. You'll notice something's missing. We'll get into that in a little bit. But, okay, click. That's in there. So then we can take our rack, and this will slide right in like that. Hook it into our injector, and then we got another rack support, so that'll go on the opposite side like so. just like that. And then I have special short bolts because my plate that I made is drilled intact. Oh shit, forgot something. You guys are getting ahead of me here. I just actually figured all this out here a second ago. So this is gonna, normally these would have a spring to keep the injector at no fuel. So I've got a, we had to pioneer that. This is off of another rack, so it's a little bit. So that spring goes on there, and then this slides in like that. Click. Click. Now, we got us a friggin' injector. Exactly what you want. Also, if you'll notice, I remade that fuel line. Not my best work, but it's a hell of a lot better than the pinched off one that was in there. And what is actually missing here is, oh yeah, boys, that's gonna be just beautiful. That'll go on there like that. That'll go on there just like that. And so this was the part that ran through the governor here, and this part come up and touched the rack. It looks like it's, oh god, dare I say JB welded or something. I don't know if you guys can get a picture of that. I don't know if you can see that weld or not. Oh yeah, she is just, oh, it's chowdered, boys. So yeah, I've got to make this now from scratch. Shocking. I gotta look around in my parts bin and see if I have one that I can start with, and then I'll just shorten it down, you know, bend it and shorten it. Alright fellas, I found a wrench in my plan. I was moving this around here, just kind of giving her a look-see. Super concerned that this is gonna hit the valve cover. But more importantly, where we're hosed is right here. So these stupid things, for whatever reason, this valve cover's got a big fat ass lip on it. And yeah, that don't set down there right. Oh, did I actually just set down on there? Either way, it's gonna hit. I mean, obviously that's not gonna work, so. Back to the drawing board, fellas. This is fun.
Is this your idea of fun, man?
Fun! Alright, fellas, many hours later, we're back to square one, we're calling it. Now we've got plenty of clearance here, even with the pin through, which is what we were looking for there. And how I did it was, I ended up having to change this bracket because the other side, the other style isn't really bendable. It doesn't like being bent. And then, I don't know if you can see, they're at a pretty good angle now. I had to bend them. It doesn't seem to be in a bind or nothing like that. It's like, super smooth. So also, I think I told you I rebent the fuel line. That's all good. We got, by the grace of God, that clears. No issues there. So this is all tightened down for now. We're gonna run it like this and just see how it does. And then if it's good, we don't have any issues, I'll come back in and finish weld it. Alrighty, friends. We've got some progress here to show you. I was up all night and I made a fancy new rod from scratch. I used a piece of the old one and a piece of one I found in the shed. And promise you, this one ain't gonna just fall apart. So it's a little wonky. You gotta like put this together weird, like we were talking about. So you've gotta loosen these screws here and rotate the rack right around, just because of the way you gotta get the pin in. But then once your pin's in, it's pretty good. So this will come over here. Can you see it? Yeah. Set right down on there and done. Now, well, adjust our rack screws back down. Like so. And now works like it ought to. So put our cover back on. Normally this would be spring loaded so it would snap over like that. And then there's your ripper setting. And then no fuel. So, I don't know. I think we're pretty much to the spot where we can try and light this old girl up and see what we get. Oh boy, let me look. I don't think there's anything really going to catastrophically. Nothing's really in the way, I don't think. So, oh, and the best part, fellas. I almost forgot the entire reason for having to redo all that. Valve cover sets on there, oh so nice, and perfect. Alright boys, so I spared you a bunch of boring details, but basically the gist of the story is these solenoids don't operate without a proper ground, and you need to provide them with a good ground. So that's usually this terminal, which they had wired here, but there was no path for this to get to ground, earth, which as in negative post of the battery. So I had to grind the bottom of this to get it so you had a path from the solenoid to here. Then I had to remove the starter and, you know, clean all these connections because these are all essentially electrical connections if they're on your earth side, okay? So just keep that in mind. And then I also had to do this one back here. Now we got 0.2 ohms of resistance in the whole loop. And now when you click the button, the solenoid actually works. It didn't do anything. When I first did it, I hit the button and it just went click real quick, and that was it. Acted like, you know how like when you have a real bad connection on your battery, it's exactly how it acts, because it is essentially the same thing. Let's see what we get. I'm hoping it'll turn the motor over. I don't know what shape the rest of the stuff's in. I'm not like super fond of it. Oh yeah. That hits hard, dude. Sick. Oh yeah. We're in good shape, fellas. Alright. Tried to pull a little bit of a vacuum through the return line. Try and suck some fluid up. I don't know if it worked. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see what it does, if anything. Definitely got some air in the fuel. Sick! Definitely got some air in the fuel. Okay, I'm gonna try to prime it. So what I'm gonna do, I think it was just pulling it. It was pulling the gasket. Oh, it's ready to fall. Oh, it smells good, boys. Crack a line, verify fuel flow. Why does it smell like we're on fire? Let's just turn that off for a minute. Sketchy. Yeah, we ain't getting no fuel flow out of the pump. Oh, never mind. I see the problem. All has been revealed. I had the thing strapped down to a pallet from shipping, and it was pinching a fuel line in a spot where I couldn't see it, so that was the deal there. We're just gonna crank it on no fuel. Got fuel now. All right, fellas, let's see what we get. It should go now. Dude, that thing, the friggin' governor works. I ain't even like adjust it. How does that happen? I'm real impressed with how it started too. I mean, it wasn't even really smoky at all. Line. I am just beside myself with happiness. Click. Oh, yeah. Click. That, dude. What a freaking sweetheart. It's not even loud. Alright, fellas, that's gonna do it for this little engine. At least this video. I think if you want to see more on this thing, make sure you tune in. We'll do another video on it anyway. there's a bunch more stuff I gotta sort out with it. We'll get a tack on it, we'll get this tack working. We can change the oil, we'll change the coolant. We'll tell you a little bit about what we got in store for it for the future. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you. If you like stuff like this, well, I'm always into some dumb stuff, so make sure you subscribe. Helps me out. And, you know, I want to thank you guys for ordering from the website. I really appreciate that. It is not unnoticed. Battle of the Hats was a great success. Appreciate all you guys that contributed. Just want to say, you know, thanks to the patrons. There's, golly, almost a whole flag full of you now, which is way more than I ever expected. So, you know, I sure appreciate that. You guys are keeping the lights on here. And, you know, we'll keep bringing you fun stuff. So, thanks again. And we'll see you in the next one.